Next up, the expectation of retirement versus the reality. While many look ahead to those golden years with great expectations, a new poll finds 1 in 4 people have no intention of retiring ever. And another 1 in 4 expect to work well past 65. That makes half the country. And while some are staying in it for the love of the game or because they're Supreme Court justices, for most others, it's all about the money. Just 29% of people age 50 or older say they're highly confident they'll have enough savings for retirement. And when it comes to people younger than 50, only 14% really think they'll have the cash. But even for those who do want or need to work later in life, finding and keeping a job is not easy. So is there any upside to this gloomy picture or anything we can do to fix it? Joining me to discuss are Thomas Kochan, a professor at the MIT Sloan School of Management. Good to see you, Tom. Tina Opie is an associate professor at Babson College. Good to have you back. And Cal Halvorsen is an assistant professor at the BC School of Social Work. Good to meet you, too. Cal, can I divide these into 2 categories? First of all, let me put the numbers up one more time for the people at home. This is from an AP NORC poll. When do you plan to retire? As you'll see at the bottom, age 80, after age 65, 23%, never, the other 23%. Can I divide this into 2 categories? One being people who are not forced to continue working, but either love it or want to stay busy. You're all nodding in agreement. Should we be concerned about that group of people or support them? If they want to work, they should be able to work. Is that okay, or should we be concerned?
Well, I think if they want to work, they should be allowed to work. I think the concern would be is if they stay in the good job that they might have for too long, you're keeping others from gaining entry to that occupation or to that slot. But they should find ways, as many people are now, a gradual retirement or do some other things that supplement what they were doing in retirement. So I'd like to see people move on when it's time, but to have other things that they can do if they want to stay active.
So you all not in agreement we shouldn't worry about them, even we maybe worry about the impact they have on younger workers. Let's talk about the people we should worry about, those who aren't choosing to work but are required. Is the fact that we're living longer, I assume that's a huge part of the deal, not just that we're not making enough to survive in retirement, but because we're living so much longer in retirement, yes?
Yeah, I mean, people are living longer, so we need to have more savings to actually take care of us while we're retired. But so many people are struggling to even work during retirement, and so people often end up retiring even before they expected to. And so it's a double whammy because they don't have enough money to pay for themselves during retirement, and yet they can't work longer in retirement.
Is it even worse for women? If savings is a problem, I assume we talked, and you've been here when we've talked about the pay differential, obviously. If you make less while you're fully employed until whatever age, by definition, you're going to have fewer savings when you do retire. So is there a gender divide in this situation?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a government statistic which says that 80% of women over the age of 65 are impoverished. So they're not able to actually live in the lifestyle that they wanted to. And there's a distinct gender difference between men and women because of what you've mentioned, Jim, in terms of the gender pay gap, but also because women may be working part-time more frequently than men are, and therefore they're not able to necessarily vest in their retirement plans as men might be able to. So you have a number of factors that are contributing to the gender difference. And when there's a gender difference, then if you look at other factors like race, that makes it even multiplicative.
One other issue in the gender thing, which Marjorie and Egan and I talked about on the radio years ago, I'm sure you remember, is the fear factor.
Yes.
There were, 27% of, I think, women making more than $200,000 a year figured they'd be destitute at some point in life. I want to get back to this. He mentioned the double whammy. The whole thing to me is, as a layperson, is a triple whammy. Social Security is not enough. Pensions are essentially gone for virtually all except some lucky workers, and people have meager savings. That's the three-legged stool that's coming unglued, yes?
Yeah, and what we're doing is we thought we solved the retirement problem. We have had a generation that has just preceded us that has had a very comfortable retirement because of defined pension plans that supplement Social Security and then maybe what other savings they've been able to have. The loss of that defined pension plan is the biggest source of the problem today because we haven't replaced it. The 401ks are a fraction of the amount, and only about half of the workforce even gets it. So that's a big problem.
You all teach, and it seems to me, again, as a person who doesn't, that financial illiteracy is part of the problem. I mean, everybody I know is worried. I don't care how much they make. Everybody's worried, whether they're 25 or 85.
Yeah.
They're worried. But people's understanding of, I mean, so many people think Social Security is going to be enough. A lot of people don't know, well, maybe you should wait as long to take Social Security benefits as you possibly can, because they go up, whatever it is, 8%. I am right that financial literacy is lacking in many of these cases,
Yeah.
right?
It's lacking, but also what's important is that, especially what younger generations are having to take care of, is so much more. Using myself as an example, I just finished my PhD. I have a lot of student loan debt, and I'm trying to save for retirement, and so I'm not even thinking about buying a house. But a lot of people are struggling. They don't even think about saving for retirement because they're just trying to take care of the student loans.
So, we actually try to solve problems here. I know it's shocking from time to time, but I don't want to hear solutions that work in classrooms. I want solutions that work in the real world. So can we go down the list here if we can, quickly, if we can? Tell me what's at the top of your list that might begin to cause this crisis to abate. Cal, starting with you.
To have some type of national health care retirement savings program. This has been talked about before.
Well, we have one, Social Security, don't we?
So that's only designed for a third of your income. So for people to be able to save for themselves, oftentimes these need to get set up through employers. And I don't understand why so many of our necessary benefits, our social safety net programs, have to be done through employers. We're one of the few westernized countries to do that. And so if we can have another type of program where people can save, be incentivized to save regardless of who they work for or if they're working at all, that will help when they retire.
What would you add to the list, Tina?
At an institutional level, we have to address the gender pay gap. I think that is critical. At an individual level, you said you don't want to talk about the classroom. I think financial literacy. I think financial literacy needs to be taught in the elementary schools, in the high schools, and at college, because some of the decisions that our students are making, you know that that's setting them up for failure in the future. And I would even say we need to consider, I teach at a private institution, but maybe we need to look more at community colleges for the first few years so that these students are not saddled with the level of student debt that we're seeing.
A couple of candidates talking to you, actually. And you can finish.
Well, absolutely. We need a national supplement to Social Security, whether we do it as a new retirement plan or a supplement to Social Security that goes with the person wherever they work, regardless of who they work for. But the other thing is we've got to deal with the health care crisis. Because the biggest cost of retirement is health care, and so many organizations have cut out retiree health care. So if we can do something on a national retirement savings plan, and we can do something on the health care, we'll solve this problem.
Fair enough. Sounds good to me, Cal. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Tina, great to see you.
Thanks, John.
Tom's great to see you.
Good to see you again.
Thanks so much.